Baby, I know it.
Hey, kids! Fresh off a stint at Rikers Island, it's your old pal, Krusty. My parole officer has ordered me to do some community service for the kids, so I developed a video game that'll keep those kids glued to their TVs so you can sit on your fat ass and drink some Buzz Cola. After all, how are you gonna watch your kids while you're suffering from massive diarrhea?
What the fuck?
These kids today are sick of jumping barrels, and they're more into jumping the curve with a fast car and dragging a fat man down the street. The kids dropped their Ataris and got into that Grand Theft Auto crap. So here's my game. It's the Simpsons Hit and Run. Now shut up and play it.
I mean, yeah, it looks intriguing, but I'm not sure how many kids are still into The Simpsons.
You're wrong, J-Ruff, and you will play it.
Wait, you know my name.
For the sake of this video, I do. Now you will play this game.
Oh, fuck, ow, alright. I'll play it. I mean, I love this game. I didn't want to play it right now, and he's gone. Oh well. This is my review of The Simpsons Hit and Run. Ah yes, The Simpsons Hit and Run. What an obscure and improbable game. Who would have thought a Grand Theft Auto Simpsons clone would turn out to become one of the cult favorite hits of its generation? There was a time when licensed games were plentiful, a lot of which blatantly ripped off other successful games. I mean shit, The Simpsons themselves already had their fair share of games at that point, notably a classic arcade game, a terrible wrestling game, and a Crazy Taxi clone, which would become the basis for this game. The Simpsons Road Rage was Radical Entertainment's first attempt at a Simpsons game after receiving the license. When it was released to mixed reviews, Radical decided the game needed a complete overhaul for the sequel, but the best part of the original game, the driving, would be kept. The developers wanted to give gamers a better experience of Springfield than previously offered in any game, so they made the decision to let the player walk around the world and visit landmarks from the show. Throughout the development, Matt Groening, 20th Century Fox, and Gracie Films would get involved and help provide that accurate 3D Springfield feel, as well as providing the entire voice cast with original recorded lines of dialogue. A funny note from development is that when each developer was playtesting the game, they would constantly kick around Marge at the beginning of the game. All of the developers speculated that Matt Groening would be shocked and appalled that this could be done to Marge, and when he first played it, everyone had to see what he'd do. When Groening played the game for the first time, he also kicked Marge. In fact, he kicked her all the way up the street to Ralph's house and loved every second of it. So, with the help of the actual creators of The Simpsons, Radical Entertainment and Vivendi Universal were able to release The Simpsons Hit and Run to generally positive reviews. Now, I didn't know this at the time of the release, because I was only like 4 years old, but I figured a history lesson wouldn't hurt. Christmas 2003 was the year I got my first game system, my treasured GameCube. I had just gotten into video games that year, and aside from Sonic, not many people knew what to get me. So aside from Sonic Adventure 2 Battle and Mario Party 5 being some of the top games I was gifted that year, I randomly opened the Simpsons game soon after, and little did I know that this game could be my favorite of the bunch. Now, I wasn't the biggest fan of The Simpsons. In fact, I'm probably sure I wasn't even the target audience for the show. But my family liked and watched The Simpsons, so it was assumed that I would have fun with the Simpsons game. And oh man, did I have fun. For a while, I didn't even play the missions, I would just go nuts. But the more I dove deeper into it, I really fell in love with the Simpsons world, the characters, and truly gained an appreciation for the show itself. Because of this game, I think I became a bigger fan of The Simpsons than I ever would have without it. In addition to that, there are other reasons why this game is really pivotal for me, but I'll touch on those later. For now, let's just get into the story. So the game begins with a swarm of wasp cameras entering Springfield from a glowing light in the sky, although pretty much everyone goes on about their day like it's normal. all except Marge. Yeah, Marge knows she's seen some shit. Actually, Homer notices a wasp camera and almost immediately takes it out, setting up that gameplay element for the rest of the game. As Homer admires the coinage collected from his violence, Krusty the Clown appears on the screen and introduces a new Buzz Cola that gets Homer up off the couch and gets him to actually do shit. Now, you may be wondering how Homer doesn't make the connection that he just got attacked by a wasp and the new Buzz Cola is being introduced subsequently. And if you're wondering that, then you clearly have never watched The Simpsons. I mean, we're talking about Homer here, the guy that thought an electric hammer was a good idea. What follows that intro is where we are sent outside and introduced to our world of Springfield. Marge is waiting for us and sends us off on a bunch of meaningless chores until eventually growing concerned with an appearance of black vans in the neighborhood. After seemingly connecting the vans and the wasps to Mr. Burns, Homer gets a rude awakening when Burns reveals he has nothing to do with it, promptly fires him, and releases the hounds.
Accused!
So next in the story we control Bart, who wants to help Professor Frink build his Truckosaurus because his mom destroyed all the video games. After avoiding the dinosaur car about to cook that kid, Bart gets beamed into that same light we saw in the beginning of the game. Lisa goes to the docks to investigate her brother's disappearance, which leads to her finding Bart on a ship with his brain seemingly scrambled. Afterwards, a crop circle of Bart's head appears in Springfield, prompting Marge to ask Abe Simpson about crop circles in his day. After feeding him caffeine pills to keep him awake long enough to hear, he explains that the logo is the very same logo seen on Buzz Cola.
It was so long ago that I'll have to describe it in sepia tone.
With the cola being blatantly connected to aliens, Marge and Apu go after the cola bottlers and distributors. Marge is motivated by her son's disappearance and mind wiping, and Apu is motivated by the guilt of even selling the stuff. After Bart's memory loss is cured, Apu and Bart head to the museum where they hear the cola is coming from.
I'm actually excited to be going to a museum.
To partial surprise, it's revealed that Kang and Kodos are behind this all, and that the cola was introduced to garner new attention to their reality show based on the lives of unsuspecting Springfielders. Now, where have I heard that before?
We're famous!
Coincidentally, this episode of South Park aired in early 2003. In September, The Simpsons Hit Run would be released. Interesting that these two would have been under development at the same time. I mean, South Park did point out that The Simpsons have been so influential that practically every new idea has been done before in a Simpsons episode.
Simpsons did it! Simpsons did it!
So maybe The Simpsons decided to take an idea back from South Park as a shots fired epic gamer wrecked moment, lol. Or it could just be a coincidence.
I like it.
So in order to increase their ratings, Kang and Kodos plot to cause chaos in Springfield by selling laser guns to citizens, flooding the water supply with Buzz Cola, and waking the dead. That's right, fucking zombies. In fact, the entire ending takes place in a Treehouse of Horror-inspired neighborhood, complete with evil Lard Lad. When Professor Frink figures out nuclear waste can kill the aliens, Homer gets Mr. Burns' approval to use the power plant supply to literally car bomb the alien spacecraft. After Homer sacrifices Grandpa,
I smell toad!
Kang and Kodos are defeated. Their show reaches its highest rating ever in its finale, and Homer is declared the town hero with many adoring fans. Now, there are a lot of reasons why I do enjoy the story to this game, despite it not being the most original plot we've ever seen. I just think it captures that Simpsons charm so well. A lot of this has to do with the fact that the creators of The Simpsons were so on board to not only provide the entire cast, but to nudge the game developers in the right direction to perfectly translate each character into a video game. Each character's motivations make sense, and the speed of their lines and their jokes land just as well as they would in the cartoon.
Sorry, Bart. I can't serve booze to a minor. It ain't right.
I'm here to buy fireworks.
Oh, hell yeah.
I also love that the writers of this game included as many Simpsons characters as possible in any way that it could make sense, some only being alluded to, others just as voice clips, but most play vital roles in the game's plot and add a lot to each mission they are a part of. The likes of Comic Book Guy and Cletus provide for some of the most hilarious dialogue on the road, and lines from and inspired by the actual show make it in here as well.
Strike one. Counterfeit designer jeans. The foulest of all crimes.
And there's also something to be said for the random pedestrians that you constantly hear it from throughout the game.
Hey!
Bully! I'm scared and disoriented.
Hey, get on your feet.
What are you thinking?
This game also likes to use the fact that it is a video game to make fun of itself and that it is a game, breaking the fourth wall all over the place.
It's like a game within a game.
The power plant? And I'm bored of this level.
All right, player one. Homer.
It feels so positively Simpsons. This helps to the game's benefit as some of the missions are just so ridiculous that you can't possibly take the events seriously. Thankfully, that was never the intent, and the narrative is a fun, enjoyable ride that rewards you with a new step forward in the story for each mission that you complete. Speaking of missions, I say it's time that we dive into the gameplay. So as stated before, the Simpsons Hit and Run takes a lot of inspiration from Grand Theft Auto in regards to gameplay. You walk around each of the 7 Springfield locations, doing missions as directed that interact with numerous Springfield characters. Unlike GTA, the Simpsons characters control more like a traditional platformer character. They can jump, double jump, kick, jump kick, and even ground pound akin to Mario. While this game has no weapons, this allows the characters to be much more versatile combat-wise than a character from Grand Theft Auto. However, this is merely used to take out the many wasp cameras and crates scattered throughout each level. The coins you collect are used to buy costumes and vehicles, some being mandatory based on missions. Some of these vehicles, and clothing especially, are references to episodes of the past. My favorites are the Donut Homer costume, and of course, who could forget, perhaps this game's most known gameplay element is of course the hit and run gimmick. If you damage enough cars, obstacles, or people, you'll build up this meter by your map. Fill it up all the way, and you essentially get 5 stars like in GTA. The police will hunt you down and will not rest until you completely stop and pay 50 coins. The loss of the coins really isn't so bad. If it wasn't for the fact that these cops will all out try to destroy you, heavily damaging your car to the brink of exploding until they get that gold. Sometimes in the middle of a mission, you'd much rather give up the coins and just go, but it doesn't always work that way. Hit and runs will certainly always be a thorn in your side. It does add an extra incentive to drive smoothly and keep an eye out for those repair wrenches, and it ultimately makes it a fun thrill ride when in high-pressure situations. The basic mission structure of the game is as follows. You meet a character at a point directed on the map, you talk to them, and then hijinks ensue. These missions, while not incredibly diverse, provide fun and well-structured challenges. They also feature a well-composed mission theme that sounds like it would fit right in the Simpsons cartoon, yet still get your blood pumping for a fun chase mission or a calm jazz piece for a tailing mission. Missions can also be divided into several different types. Those where you go around collecting a set number of objects, some that involve you avoiding a chasing vehicle, classic races, making it to certain locations under a time limit, a couple where you tail some people, and my personal favorites, missions that involve mass destruction of other motor vehicles. Nothing feels more satisfying in this game than getting the largest, toughest car possible and ramming it full speed into the other car, and seeing that damage meter fill right up as you decimate and eviscerate the other cars and citizens in your wake. Sorry about that. I guess this game just really fulfills my diabolical needs. Anyways, speaking of ramming cars into cars, I'd say the vehicle selection in this game is pretty rad. We've got the Simpson cars you'd expect, and thankfully the game has a nifty rating system that easily informs the player of what cars would be good for what circumstances. Admittedly, as you progress through the game, some of those earlier cars become completely obsolete. This isn't a huge issue unless you wanted to drive a van that's perpetually on fire for the entire game.
Bang! Baggy bang!
The driving itself controls up to snuff with GTA, however with some exceptions. For example, in the mission Ketchup Logic, you take control of Cletus's pickup, which controls like what I just left in the toilet. This car is forced because it simply adds to the difficulty of the mission. Now while we're talking about difficulty, this can allow me to bring up one of my few gripes with this game. For the most part up until, well, Ketchup Logic, the difficulty of the mission steadily increases at a slow pace. However, starting with Ketchup Logic, again, there will be instances where some missions unnecessarily difficulty spike. For the last 3 levels of the game, you will run into several missions at random intervals that will put you through the ringer. In level 5 as Apu, we face what are possibly 2 of the worst, most unfair missions in the game in a row. It starts with Never Trust a Snake, which has you follow a slow-ass garbage truck under a time limit as it drops garbage at set points. This truck can sometimes get stuck and swerve to confuse you, all while the time is ticking. Then once it leads you to the next point, you have to drive and walk around a large area collecting trash while that same timer keeps ticking. Then once all of those are collected, you must drive all the way back to the starting point before time runs out. In order to complete this mission, you basically need to know where every piece of trash is already, so you can save the ones closest to the highway for last to even have a chance at making it back. Oh, but that's just the first mission. In the next mission, you drive Snake's Little Bandit, a very fast and fun car to drive that unfortunately cannot take a beating very well. They force you to use this car to destroy the toughest vehicle in the game. Now, thankfully, you don't need to destroy it under a time limit, but you will have to run around in circles across this map, looking for wrenches to repair your vehicle, and then subsequently searching for the truck again, only to hit it a bit, and then have to find another wrench all over again, rinse and repeat, till the mission mercifully ends.
All this to say that the last mission of level 5 that takes place soon after it is not very challenging at all.
You have to destroy another vehicle which is immensely less tough than the armored car before it. These are just a few of some really challenging missions that feel a bit unfair, but this does not extend to the end of the game. Sure, the final mission is a bit unfair, but it's essentially a combination of all the missions we've done up to that point, so it gets a pass. Now, while there are a very small amount of missions that just make me want to rip my hair out, or whatever's left of it out, there are a lot of missions that I feel are just perfectly right for this game. Some of those missions that just encapsulate the Simpsons humor so very well, that end on a punchline that just leaves you laughing and laughing. Early on in the game, Marge tells Homer that Ned Flanders is feeling miffed.
And PO'd.
Homer begrudgingly wanders over to help him, only to discover that many of Flanders' possessions have gone missing. Possessions specifically borrowed by Homer in the past. What ensues is Homer going around collecting all the missing articles, some of which make you wonder, like, why was Rod's inhaler on top of the Duff truck? Why did Homer have his inhaler in the first place? Anyways, Homer comes back to Flanders, and after handing him all the items, they have this brilliant exchange.
Thanks, neighbor Rooney. Here's your reward. A prayer from the Lord's #1 fan. Our Father in heaven, bless this noble oaf.
Stupid Flanders getting happiness from religion.
That type of Simpsons writing is not only why we love them, but why we love this game, because it's filled with lines like this that make missions so satisfying to complete. So what do you do when you don't feel like doing the missions? Well, do more missions, of course. That's right, not only do we have story missions, but bonus missions that can earn you a brand new vehicle, one for each level. These are fun, and mostly exist for laughs. We also have street races, run by Patty and Selma, which serve the same purpose. These races are divided into 3 kinds. Time trials, hosted by Milhouse, circuit races, hosted by Nelson, and checkpoint races, hosted by Ralph.
6, 12, 1, go!
These races are no slouch either. They are very tricky in order to beat. Some will require you to remember every sharp turn and shortcut you can find. Some, you just need a little bit of luck.
I'm speechless, Lisa. That was better than you have any right to do.
Overall, these races are fun, and it's very humorous to watch this side story unfold of each kid getting more and more fed up with being forced to do these races.
The car fumes are making me dizzy. Whoa. Oh.
Just do it.
There's one more kind of race I haven't mentioned yet, and that's the wager race. These races kinda suck. They're not required for 100%, and they basically just serve as a means to get more cash. The downside is the amount of money you make depending on how crummy your car is. The crummier the car, the more cash you rake in. However, it is much easier to lose, and therefore lose the wager. This stinks, because there is a finite amount of gold that you can collect by destroying stuff in the game, and you will spend all of that gold before acquiring everything. Thus, you will be forced to do wager races in order to collect every car or costume.
That wasn't part of the deal!
As I mentioned before, there are plenty of things to collect in this game. In addition to the 20 wasp cameras that can be destroyed in each level, there are also sight gags that can be triggered, which usually cause something hilarious to occur.
We're waiting for the apocalypse.
We also have 7 collector cards scattered throughout each level, each one representing an artifact from the Simpsons history. Collecting the complete set will grant you access to an itchy and scratchy short exclusive to this game. Collecting one level set individually gives you access to a multiplayer race. Oh yeah, this game has multiplayer! So each level gets its own counterpart slot car-esque race, based on landmarks seen in each. You get to pick any character you want, any car you have, and just go nuts. You will go nuts, because it's kind of really bad. The view is terrible, unless you're playing solo, in which case you can change the view. The turns are way too sharp, and the power-ups render the cars uncontrollable when boosting. It doesn't really offer much to the player, but it serves as a neat reward or distraction and doesn't offend nearly enough to take away from this game. All in all, this game is one of my favorites of all time. It does what many licensed video games of its era could not do, and that's provide an amazing recreation of its world, look, and feel, while also providing fun and interesting gameplay, with a story and many hilarious moments that keep you hooked to it for years to come. I didn't even talk much about how you could literally just walk around and explore and cause rampant destruction if you wanted. That's what makes these GTA type games work on their own in general, is you could really just walk around causing so much trouble for the town, fuck with your favorite characters, and find cool Easter eggs you might not even notice during the missions.
Also, I didn't even mention one of the best pastimes for me in this entire game.
I would just load up the first level, go all the way to Ralph Wiggum's house, where he would be standing in the backyard, and just kick him over and over. The hit and run meter would go off, and the police would infinitely crash into the house and destroy themselves. All the while Ralph is just crying and I am laughing hysterically in the chaos.
This game is also very significant to me because it's the first game that provoked me to go online to look up walkthroughs on how to beat a certain mission. From there, I discovered Let's Plays, and from then on, my life changed. I first found Slim Kirby's Let's Play of the game in 2009, and from there, I find other Let's Players, and then game reviewers, and gaming content creators of all kinds up until now. That not only provided me with countless hours of entertainment and assistance with completing these games, but it started me on this whole journey that's led me to this point, with a bunch of Let's Plays already in the tank, and my first review here to you now. So it makes you think, what would have happened if I never played this game? And for that, Simpsons Hit and Run will always have a special place in my heart.
Wow! That was pretty heartfelt. I mean, you didn't even use me much in this video. I thought this thing would feature, you know, actual hitting and running. Physical comedy.
How did you... what...
Wait a minute, what are you gonna do with that?
I have road rage and I know how to use it.
I smell toast!
Guys, I've been working on this video for like the longest time, and I'm so glad I was finally able to bring my first review to you guys. So, if you like this video, please leave a like and comment what you think about The Simpsons Hit and Run. If you want more content like this, please subscribe and hit the bell as well for updates on when the next one's gonna come out, as well as the numerous Let's Plays I already have featured on this channel. I can't wait for what else is in store, and I thank you guys all for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. If we press the horn button, we fly! Yeah, if you press the horn, your car gets a jump. But it isn't like the broken thing that you'd expect it to be, because it gets caught on the invisible barriers. Oh, now we can finally take that shortcut. But yeah, if you jump in the right spot, you can abuse the shit out of this. But if you do it in the wrong spot, you will heavily screw yourself. So just remember to use it at the right time, and know where the level's boundaries are. Oh! And now the level isn't loaded properly. Oh my god, what the fuck? Wow, and we just totally caused the level to just glitch out. What? What? But it started me on this whole journey that's led me to this... Yum.